And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we're talking about the possibilities of the Commanders making some moves going into the NFL trade deadline and maybe some last minute trades that the Commanders might go ahead and consider. We're also going to be looking at some key takeaways from yesterday's win against the New York Giants. And so let's start with just some last minute maybe moves that the Washington Commanders might consider going into the trade deadline. And you can find this article out there, just kind of looking at the last ditch trades the Commanders could make. And starting with Jadeveon Clowney. And so, I think that it makes a great point here with Jadeveon Clowney. Obviously, the Washington Commanders do need a little bit more of an edge presence. I totally understand that. And then it also talks about, considering offers for players who don't fit into their long-term plans, which is something that I've talked about with the Washington Commanders, something that I've said that I'm not sure that Adam Peters and this front office is going to be willing to do. And I think that, yeah, it would seriously be a last-ditch trade if they were to get Jadeveon Clowney. Now, I think he could be an impact at this point in time. I think he was pretty exceptional for the Ravens. And no doubt about it, I think he would help us with the edge presence here. But this makes a good point with Dante Fowler Jr. I think that he's played pretty good right now. And, he's building pretty naturally with this team defense. And so I think that maybe, when it comes down to Jadeveon Clowney coming over here, it's going to be something where the Washington Commanders would be giving up a draft pick, maybe that sixth, seventh draft pick, maybe something that the Washington Commanders are looking at in a situation like that, because I don't know if Jadeveon Clowney would want to, I guess, stay for the long term here. And this is strictly going to be a deal that you're hoping would push you over the top if the Washington Commanders are going to do it. So, yeah, definitely think that I'm on the fence about that. I really am. It just depends on just how much of an impact the Washington Commanders would think that Jadeveon Clowney is going to bring. Next up, Tre'Davious White. And so, look, I like Tre'Davious White. I like him as a player. Obviously, he would be coming over here in the same kind of situation as a Jadeveon Clowney kind of situation where it is just a short-term kind of fix. He does kind of give the secondary a little bit more of a look here. So I do like him possibly as a candidate if we are thinking about that. Next up, talking about Mike Williams. I've talked about Mike Williams before, and I think just the biggest thing with Mike Williams is just the injury concern for me. I mean, he's definitely got the size and the athleticism, but it just really has not been a good situation for Mike Williams since he started to get those injuries with the Chargers. It really hasn't worked out with the New York Jets, and not saying that he couldn't be unlocked with the Washington Commanders, because Terry McLaurin, he is off to a great start. It looks like that he's going to have a career year if this continues. Noah Brown is having a great year. I'm pretty sure right now the Houston Texans wish that they would have kept Noah Brown, and I think he's going to have a big year down the stretch as well. And so definitely do I think that if Mike Williams can just stay healthy and do some of the dynamic things that he did with Justin Herbert and those Chargers, sure. Because when you look at Terry McLaurin, he is kind of like a Keenan Allen type of player, the way that he's able to work just pretty much any route on the field. But I just don't know if you want to take a chance with Mike Williams with the injury concerns and things like that. And once again, we're talking about a player that more than likely is going to be a short-term fix for you. Jonathan Jones, another player, I mean, he is pretty solid here at this point in time. I know that the Patriots might be looking to be a seller here at the trade deadline. But look, a veteran cornerback, two-time Super Bowl winner here. So definitely I think that could perhaps be really an impact for the Washington Commanders, because when we're talking about changing a franchise and really getting a franchise into a winning state, it does start with bringing those winning players over, And so I think that that's why Bobby Wagner has been a huge pickup for the Washington Commanders. And that's why I could see, a move for Jonathan Jones being a big impact for the Washington Commanders, because once again, you get players who have been to the top of the top. This Washington Commanders team, it's been pretty tough for us as Commanders or Washington fans for a long time. And just to bring that winning mindset back, it starts with players like Jonathan Jones. And so I could see that this could definitely be something here which helps this team kind of establish a little bit more of an identity and something that I think the Washington Commanders could use. So I could see that happening. But this is definitely, I think, a scenario I would love to see with Marshawn Lattimore. Like, I like Marshawn Lattimore. He reminds me of Stephon Gilmore, and he's the type of player that can go out there and just kind of, I think, still can shut down the side of a field. And so that's why I definitely would like to bring Lattimore over. I think, to just take away a half of a field, that's got to be huge. Okay. Because look, we have enough finances here for this. He's in the final 2 years of his deal, which means that you're at least going to get him for another year additionally after this. And so, look, it talks about the fact that man-to-man coverage, which I think is still a premium in the NFL, when you can put a guy over there and just shut down the best wide receiver here, or just be a wide receiver one eraser. That's why I like Marshawn Lattimore. I think that that's a player that I would love to see over here. Buda Baker is another player that I wouldn't mind as well, just being a ball hawk safety back there. And so, those are just a couple, I think, ways in which the Commanders could maybe address the roster going into this trade deadline. I think it could be more defense than it is offense at this point in time. And I would say, like, an unlikely, maybe a dream scenario for some people would be a Max Crosby if the Raiders are looking to move on from him. But again, I'm not sure that the Commanders are going to want to go out there and give up some really good draft picks, and then also to be willing to pay a player like Max Crosby there, even though I think he could be a huge benefit for you for the long term. But I just don't think that this front office is going to get themselves into those type of situations that the prior front office did. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you're thinking about some of these players that the Washington Commanders could make a move for at the trade deadline. And lastly, before we jump out of here, I just want to quickly look at yesterday's win against the New York Giants here. And so 27-22, first time a rookie quarterback has swept the Giants in 50 years. So shout out to Jaden Daniels. That is courtesy of Locked On Commanders. That's a great show. You guys should check that out. But just looking a little bit more as to what the Commanders were able to get done. One of the things that I talked about with the Commanders is that they did lose the time of possession 28-32. And so the Giants did have long drives, but the one thing that I do like about this defense, and I think is just really getting better, is that they made the Giants really go out there and earn their points. Because when you look at one play here at the end of the second quarter, or towards the end of the second quarter, where the Giants had 15 plays, 66 yards just to get to the field goal, 8 minutes and 37 seconds. And so it's stuff like that that you like to see with the Commanders defense, and just certainly getting better at making teams really have to utilize that clock to get points. And anytime that you get them to end drives with field goals, I think that that is a plus. And that's something that, again, the Commanders have been able to string together the last 2 weeks, including that Chicago Bears team that they faced last week, where they did get that Hail Mary. But still, the fact that the team is starting to really make it tough for opposing teams to score touchdowns, that's good for the Commanders. A great sign, I think, that you can clean up the other stuff with the big plays and things like that, which I think is going to happen as this team starts to get, again, more comfortable with what the defensive coordinator is trying to put out there. And also, to the team itself is going to get better as you get better players too. So again, I just want to give kudos to the defense just out there making the Giants drive the field a little bit longer. And I think I want to see that a little bit more for the Commanders as they get ready to go up against a Steelers team where Russell Wilson, he's had the offense really clicking with the Steelers, something that they haven't had in quite some time at the quarterback position. So this is going to be a great test for the defense. We already know what it's going to be for the offense. We're going to talk about that a little bit more on the next show. But just let me know in the comments what you think about the Commanders making a move at the trade deadline. Also, too, what do you think about this defense, as it is starting to heat up at the right time as the Washington Commanders hopefully look to secure the NFC East. And so this is Rico. This is Washington Commanders Insider, and I will be back for another show talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Commanders. Going to be a great game. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.